Thank you, Chair. Comrades, it's great to be amongst like-minded visionaries within the trade union movement and working movement, working class movement. I think before I go into things, it is an opportune time to talk about Thatcher, I suppose. I'm the unluckiest guy in the world. I mean, when I go on holiday, I always miss something that's big in history. When England beat West Germany, I was in Venezuela. And when Thatcher died, I was in Cuba. I couldn't get champagne anywhere, I'll tell you. It's really difficult, that blockade. I want to set the record straight, though. You know, as far as this downloaded thing that Steve was talking about, the Ding Dong, The Witch is Dead, I haven't bought it yet. I'm actually waiting for the album to come out, so they give you much better value. But at least one thing you've got to say about Thatcher, she did go out in style, didn't she? She died at the Ritz. I mean, the nearest any of my members will get to the Ritz is when they walk down the biscuit aisle at Asda. None of us will be any. On a more serious point, though, I've got to say I really am disheartened and disappointed by the amount of MPs who took the opportunity of taking up to £3,700 in expenses to go and glorify a tyrant, and that's exactly what Thatcher was. She was a tyrant. You know, when you think what she did to the working movements, the working class movement, she sold the family silver, the things that we owned, and what she did, she gave it to her friends in tax cuts. And she funded dole queues. So the rich got richer and the poor got unemployment. And not only did the poor get unemployment, that level of unemployment that we had actually drove down wages and terms and conditions in the places where we were working, because people were always looking over their shoulder because somebody was there to take their job. So I've got no pity for Thatcher whatsoever. Absolutely not at all. I'm sorry, you know, for any family that loses somebody, but I have absolutely no pity whatsoever for Thatcher. I've got pity for the people like Steve, the miners who lost their jobs and wrecked the communities and is still paying the price today. I feel sorry for those people. You know, I feel sorry for the thousands of people who had their homes repossessed because interest rates went through the roof, and people still today are blacklisted as far as coming to get housing. You know, I feel disappointed for the thousands of people whose lives were lost through despair and are still, again, paying the price of people, in many cases, people who commit suicide because of the despair that they had. And I feel sorry for the people of Iraq, the people who died under the tyrannous hands of Saddam Hussein, using British weapons that were supplied by Margaret Thatcher and her government. I feel sorry for those people. She was a supporter of Pinochet. She was anti-ANC. She called them a bunch of terrorists. She was a supporter, in that case, of apartheid. She was anti-union, anti-working class. She was a zealot, and she was a tyrant. So, if Steve's right and she is turning in her grave, I hope it's because somebody stuck her on a spit. I really do. Comrades, I mean, bakers, I mean, I represent food workers, but, you know, originally the union in 1847 was bakers. It was actually born in Manchester. And, you know, we've been involved, and bakers have been involved in the political movement for a long time, even before our union was born. I mean, in 1381, with Wat Tyler and all them, and the Peasants' Revolt, bakers, farm workers, food workers were all involved in that. You know, we've had all those people. 7 centuries later, we're still dealing with the same type of oppressors. We've still got bosses who are prepared to try and put us down. And we've got to take the examples of what's happened over the centuries. The Tolpuddle Martyrs, the Chartists, the suffragettes. And yes, trade unions like PCS, UCU, who are absolutely standing, the miners in the 1980s, standing to fight what was theirs. We've got nothing in this world, comrades, without fighting for it. And if we're to preserve the memories of our forefathers and the fight that they give us, the examples they set, then we've got to unite, like Steve said again. We've got to unite and get that fight together. There's nobody in this room who is demanding the impossible. Absolutely nobody. We're not looking for pie-in-the-sky politics. We're looking for realities. We're looking for companies to put people before profits. It might sound like a pie-in-the-sky thing, but it's not. It's something we can achieve if we're together. We want a fair economy that rewards the profit makers as well as the profit takers. And using an example within my own industry, we have a company called Two Sisters. It's a guy called Ranjit Singh Baparan, who's buying everything in the food industry. He's the fastest growing company in Britain in the food industry. He buys companies which are sort of going downhill, and he makes them supposedly great again, but he doesn't make them great again by going out and getting extra business. He does it by cutting the terms and conditions, pensions and all that of work people, because the companies are going downhill, but still finds the way of taking £24 million out of the business as a personal dividend for him and his wife. Now last year it wasn't so bad, he only took 23 million last year, but that's 47 million out of failing companies. Shows the greed of what employers will do if we allow them to take on. Premier Foods, Michael Clark. It cost millions to get him into the helm. They brought him in from South Africa, millions. And then he left. And it took millions to get rid of him. And the only thing he'd done in the meantime was he cut and axed thousands of jobs, closed 3 bakeries and a few depots. A claim to fame that he's proud of, and he'll go on, that'll be on his CV, that he was a hatchet man. And he'll get work somewhere else while thousands of people suffer the indignity of unemployment. Comrades, we have a choice. We either go on the attack, we do organise, we fight back, or we get down on our knees and we just give in. Now I know which choice I want. I want to live a life that's full of fight. I want to make sure that we have a legacy that we leave for our children. I don't want to be seen in any way as a coward against an employer, and I'm sure that you don't that. We have to fight back. We've got a constant attack against us. We have to fight back if we want to stop the disproportionate attacks that are happening on working people. And we have to fight back if we're to stop the demoralisation of the poor. Because that's what it's all about. It's happening now. I've got to say at the TUC, there was a motion that called for the feasibility, not calling for a general strike, calling on the TUC to look at the feasibility of a general strike. And I got to TUC on the Sunday morning, sat with my delegates, and one particular General Secretary came over to me and said, well, what do you think about this Trotskyist who's moving this motion from the POA? And I thought, well, Steve Gillen's a good mate of mine, you know what I mean? He's all right, Steve, he's great. I've never heard him described as a Trotsky before, but there we go. And he said, what do you think about the motion? I said, well, to be honest, I think we're seconding it. You seconded it? Can't believe it. Until we got to Commons, of course, and then it became favourable amongst the bigger unions. All of a sudden think, oh, hang on, maybe there's a struggle here. Maybe it'll give us a bit of good credit if we support it. And so they did, except one big union. I won't name them, they know who they are. And I could not believe the General Secretary who gets up and says, we shouldn't support this motion for a general strike because we tried it once and it didn't work. I'm only glad my mother didn't take the same approach to Jarber, because I wouldn't be. One thing the Bakers Food and Allied Workers will be doing, we will be balloting all our members, every single member, and we'll ask the question, because I think if you don't ask the question, you'll never get an answer. We're going to ask our members about what they believe is on the feasibility of a general strike, and if there's a call for it, would they be prepared to take it? So we're already going to do that. We're already preparing the ballot papers to go out to our members now, and I hope that other trade union leaders have the bottle to do that. They take the lead. I do believe that if you're going to be a trade union leader, you have to lead from the front. I don't believe you should be dragged along by your membership. I really do think that we've got to be up there with them, sacrificing the same things. And I think the TUC also has to grow some balls. I'm not saying it'll be easy. I'm not saying if we get a general strike that everyone's going to come flooding out. It's going to be difficult. We're going to say the more confidence that we build, the more people who will join us. I don't think it's just a trade union thing. I think we've got to unite the resistance. Yeah. I've got 2 minutes left, yeah?
2 minutes.
Tell you what, I wish my members had the same what you've got. I'll tell you, we wouldn't be working so long in a day. We've got to build the confidence. We really have got to get it. But we've got to unite everybody. Like the title of the group that we're here today, Unite the Resistance, we've got to do it. Every week I get appeals from different groups who are saying, look, we've got to fight this, we've got to fight that, and they're all splintered. They're all over the place. What we've got to do is unite, as we say, unite that resistance, get everyone together. The trade union movement, if we pull together, 6 million, more than 6 million, is a big organisation. That's a lot of power. But you think of all the people who have also got a beef against something within the country, that makes it a massive army of potential opposition to this government. And as it gathers momentum, the more right of our class will join with us, and that's what I believe. Success has many fathers, failure is an orphan. And we've got to remember that saying. I don't care who takes the credit for what happens, but we've got to do something. I want to finish off, Chair, by just talking about the poison, if you like, that was put up the Tory party conference last year by George Osborne. This, strivers versus skivers. Absolutely rubbish. All it's done is fed racist lines to UKIP, and it's also given the press a beano. He said at that conference that what we've got to do, we've got to carry on with austerity because we can't leave debts to future generations. We can't do that. And he got the big cheer and everyone standing up, landing up with glory and all that, cheering away. Well, if we follow Keynes' approach to austerity, we should be investing. I'm not saying flitter money away. I'm not saying just throw money away and down the plug hole. We're talking about targeted finance in areas we want. Clearly, if we build houses, we need builders, we need people to do carpets, we need plasterers, curtains, we need a gardener, maybe a milkman to come along and deliver the milk. All those sort of things. People paying taxes. That's what we want. We want to get people back to work and people paying taxes. If you think about America, they invested during the Depression. And now they've got the strongest economy in the world. Germany, on its knees after the war, invested in the country. And now they've got the strongest economy in Europe. And even the UK after the war, we were, as Steve said, we were in a hell of a state. What we did during all that recession, like that depression that we were in, we built the welfare state. We've got a national health service, or we had a national health service that was to be proud of. It was the envy of the world. We've done it. And nobody ever created about debt. I was born in 2 up, 2 down in Liverpool, and I never heard my parents or any of the people around there say, because we only paid the debt off, from the Second World War in December 2005. That's when it was paid up by. So 60 years later, we're still paying the debt. I never heard one person say, those buggers back in the 40s, they left us in a terrible debt. Nobody said it. We just got on with it, and we built a great welfare state. We built a fantastic national health service. And these people are destroying it because it wasn't their idea. Comrades, if we're going to rebuild the welfare state, protect the NHS, give our kids some hope for the future, and end the heinous destruction of everything that we've ever fought for, we've got to fight. We need to change a political system that says that every 5 years we just elect the best of a bad bunch. I'd rather elect an MP on what they do, and not because they're the only person, the person wearing the right coloured rosette. We've got to do that. Our demands have got to become manifesto demands. If you don't support us, then we don't support you. We're better, in some ways with the Tories, at least we know who the enemy is. I don't want a Labour Party coming in that just turns out to be another shade of blue. I want a Labour Party that's going to stand up for just, I don't mean me as an individual, but me as a collective. Working people, they're going to strive to do the things that they reverse the anti-trade union laws, get rid of the stuff, the crap they're bringing in now. Get rid of the likes of the bedroom tax, all that. It's rubbish. It's just destroying the welfare state, and that's what they want. So we don't want another shade of blue within the Labour Party. Comrades, the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union only support MPs who support the same visions of our members. We don't support any MP who didn't support Clause 4. And that's the way we are. We believe that we're a radical union that looks at, bringing about political, economic and industrial change. We're a small union that makes a lot of noise. We're not a tin bucket with a stick. We believe there's some purpose to what we do. Comrades, we're on a journey to succeed. Come with us.